I overheard my parents fighting over something heartbreaking, and I can't unhear it. I heard my parents' marriage end through a wall, and I've never told either of them that I heard. That was almost a year ago. I'm still not sure if staying quiet was the right thing. I was home for the weekend during exam season, studying at my desk with the door closed, when their voices started coming through, not arguing exactly, at first. The specific low register of a serious conversation trying to stay contained. Then, it wasn't contained anymore. My father had found something. Messages. Someone sending my mother money. Pictures going the other direction. My mother crying and saying she'd been lonely. Which was true in a way I understood even then, because she'd spent 6 months dieted during her recovery, surrounded by family but not by him, and loneliness isn't about the number of people in a room. But none of that made it okay. I know that. I'm not trying to make it okay. I sat at my desk with my notes in front of me and listened to my parents' marriage crack open, and I didn't move for a long time afterward. What I've learned in the months since is that you can know the full facts of something and still not know what it means. I know what happened. I don't know what it means for them, whether they're staying or leaving or something in between that doesn't have a name yet. My parents don't tell me things directly. I'm 19, which is old enough that they forget to protect me and young enough that they still try. My father asked me once, on the way to class, if I'd noticed where my mother had gone the night before. He asked it carefully, like he was asking about the weather. I told him if I knew anything I'd say so, and changed the subject, and we drove the rest of the way without talking. And he said something that morning I've thought about since. He said a person should never let themselves be alone. That loneliness comes when you stop talking to people. Keep talking, he said, like he was reminding himself more than telling me. I didn't say anything. I looked out the window and thought about how my father, who has never in my memory asked for help, was sitting next to me asking for it in a language I didn't know how to answer. I don't know how to answer a lot of things lately. There was a person I'd been seeing for a few months who stopped responding in November without explanation. Just gone, one day to the next. The way some people leave when closeness starts to feel like a demand. I know the word for it now. Avoidant. At the time, it just felt like another thing I couldn't understand. I went on a solo trip in January. I needed to be somewhere that wasn't my parents' house and wasn't the absence of the person who'd stopped texting. I spent 4 days in a city I'd never been to and walked around and ate alone and sat by a river for an afternoon thinking about the specific shape of empty. It didn't fix anything. It didn't need to. Some things don't get fixed. They just get carried differently over time. My mother cried in the kitchen last week standing at the stove thinking no one was watching. I came in for water and saw her and she said it was nothing, and I nodded and got my water and left. We have developed a whole architecture of not asking. I don't know when we built it or whether it's protecting us or just making us lonelier. What I know is this. My parents are two people who loved each other for a long time and are now navigating something that love isn't enough to solve by itself. My father is in pain and asking for company in the only language he knows. My mother is in a version of this I don't fully understand, which is probably as it should be, because she's my mother and not a character in my story, even though it sometimes feels that way from the inside of a family falling. I'm doing fine. I want to say that clearly because I know how this reads. I'm doing fine in the way of someone who is 19 and learning that the world is more complicated than it looked from the outside of adulthood, which is not a crisis, just an education. I still study at my desk with the door closed. I've learned to keep the music on.